One concept of research publication designed for the purpose of quality control is the peer review. A well-informed peer reviewer is a gatekeeper of quality, understanding the objective of reviewing to ensure clarity, accuracy, originality, and relevance empowers a reviewer to offer constructive feedback and uphold academic integrity and advance knowledge in the field. Reviewing isn't just a task, it is a mission to shape better science. In this video, I want to share with you tips, insightful tips that will make you a better reviewer. This is Research and Statistics, and my name is Dr. Felix Ayodele Oyeleye. Let's get started.
Academic journal may call on an individual to act as a reviewer to a particular manuscript. If that individual is a subject expert, or that individual has actually published something related to that particular manuscript. So on two bases, it's either you're a subject expert or you have published an article relating to a particular manuscript, you are likely going to be called upon to actually act as a reviewer. Now, it's important to understand the objective of reviewing itself. Number one, peer reviewing is actually the backbone of credible publishing. And being able to review and ensure research integrity and quality is the bedrock of scientific discovery all over the world today. So, again, we're going to look at it objectively, how it could be done effectively and ethically. The first tips we are going to talk about is the need for a reviewer to understand the journal scope. Every journal has a mission statement, they have a perspective, and what they set out to actually achieve. So as a reviewer, it will be good you do your diligence to ensure you familiarize yourself with the journal's aim and audience. It's also important that your review aligns with that particular aim and objective. Now, the second tip is now looking at the manuscript itself. You want to evaluate the structure and the clarity of the paper. How well organized is the paper based on the journal specification? Is it easy to follow? It's also important to look at if the objective as documented by the author is clearly written, clear objective. And you also want to ensure that the methodology the author had actually used aligns with standards. So there must be clarity of objective, there must be conformity with methodology, and even the results must actually be a product of the research, the study itself. Sometimes you want to look at the heading of that particular result if it speaks to the content of the result itself. And then you want to look at the conclusion. Very, very important. Now, the third tip is to assess the methodological rigor. Was it properly done? The methods, are they appropriate? Are they also well explained? Now, one of the importance of reviewing an article is to ensure that the author had documented the procedure, the protocol of conducting that research in such a way that the reviewer can be taken in a journey of memory, in the journey of activity, of procedure, of how that work had been carried out. Because the idea is that someone else should be able to follow that same methodology and arrive at a similar result. So as a reviewer, you want to make sure that the methodology is rigorously adhered to. And also sample size calculation. For most studies that make use of probability sampling, it's important to check if the sample used for that particular study is representative. Okay, and that is for the probability inclined study that uses a probability theory, and also the tool and how it is analyzed. Is it adequately analyzed? And the next tip, we're going to look at the ethical compliance. The subject of ethics is very critical today in all forms of research. In fact, it is safe to say that there's hardly any academic research today that does not require an ethical approval, be it humans or animal. Either you are having direct contact with human, or you are having direct contact or not, even with animal. So more often when you have to gather information, sensitive information, confidential information, personal information, you will need to address the issue of ethical compliance. So a reviewer wants to look at, as a reviewer, you are looking at if ethical approval was actually obtained for that particular study, and data integrity is actually ensured. You want to highlight if there's any red flag as it affects ethics and reporting of that particular work. Now, the fifth tip is to be constructive. It's important to understand that being a peer reviewer, yours is to contribute to the success of that particular publication. So the need for being constructive cannot be overemphasized. There must be no harsh tone. you provide helpful and helpful suggestion as much as possible, and there should be no criticism. Okay, it's important to understand that many a times we review articles that may have been done by a beginner and sometimes even by an expert in a study. The fact that we are reviewing an article does not necessarily mean we know better than even the author. So it's important to be suggestive. You can give helpful suggestion rather, and also you want to be helpful. You use respectful language as much as possible. Academic language is very, very important. It's a professional responsibility and it must be conducted as such. Now, the next tip is to stay objective and unbiased. As a reviewer, you must avoid personal opinion or assumption. An author once approached me on the complaint of a particular reviewer. This author had actually made use of a particular software to actually draw a map. Now, the reviewer was trying to say that he should use another software. Now, it's important to understand that the primary goal of a reviewer is to ensure that that article or manuscript follows standard procedure. The choice of the software to be used is not really within the purview of what should be reviewed. Okay, so we must stick to the main objective of reviewing that article. So personal opinion should be avoided as much as possible. We must focus on the research and not on the researcher. Very, very important. Now, the seventh tip is to be timely and professional. Delaying the work of reviewing can actually slow down or stall scientific process. Okay, we must respect deadline and communicate promptly. It is very, very important. If for whatever reason, as a reviewer, you know you can be very busy and you may not be able to have enough time to attend to that particular article, you can politely turn that request down when the journal editor contacted you. So it is very important to be timely and professional in our approach. Now, the eighth tip is to use checklists and tools. Now, there are wonderful checklists that can actually guide us in the business of peer reviewing. Okay, we have the consult. Consult is used for randomized clinical trial. It's a checklist that helps you to know things that the author should have addressed in that particular article. We also have the Prisma. The Prisma is a checklist for systematic review and meta-analysis, while you have the Strobe. The Strobe is specific for observational study. So we can adopt the use of some of these checklists. It will help us to ensure effective review of any study. And the aim of this is to ensure consistency and completeness. Now, on a final note, it's important to understand that the work of reviewing is a professional responsibility, and it's also an opportunity to learn from others. Now, we must not approach the work of reviewing with the I know it all mindset or attitude, because many a times, even the author of a manuscript may know much better than even the person reviewing the manuscript. But because you have made a publication along that line, the editor of a journal may call upon you to help review that particular article. Now, the idea is that your work has been recognized and it is believed that you can contribute to the success of that journal. You need not be an expert to actually play the role of peer review. I think this is one of the misconceptions. Many a times, young researchers believe that they have not garnered enough experience, so they cannot be a reviewer. No, article reviewing is part of gathering experience. It's part of training. So it is not, you don't have to be an expert, but for a journal to invite you or to contact you to review an article implies that you have made a publication along that particular line on that subject matter, and your work has been recognized, and the journal believe that you can actually contribute to the success of that particular manuscript. So, and it's important to also mention that it will be a gross misconduct, ethical misconduct, to contact an author as a reviewer. When you are called upon to review an article, it follows the concept of double blinding. The author shouldn't know who is reviewing. The reviewer shouldn't know may actually know the author, but you don't have to contact contact the author. Very, very important. So we must review with thoughtfulness. We must review ethically, and we must also ensure there's constructive way of making our feedback. Very, very important. There are times a professor may prepare a manuscript for publication, and somebody that's a professor of 35 years, 50 years of experience may have a manuscript for publication, and a doctor of 20 years may be asked to review. So we must approach this with a mind to learn even from others. So your review can actually help to shape better science. And that is why every young researcher, old researcher, every researcher must be interested in the business of reviewing, because it is an essential gatekeeper even to powerful quality assurance in the scientific world. Now, this is the much we are going to take on the subjects, research and statistics. If you have experience on the subject of peer review, or you want to share an idea, you have a thought, please feel free to drop it on the comment section. And don't also forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. My name again is Dr. Felix Ayodele Ileye. I will see you in my next video. Thanks for listening.